As much as I love these Grand Cherokees, it's 2025 and their technology is lacking a little bit. That means we're going to go ahead and have to update it. So we picked up a new head unit for my 2001 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This will work in any WJ, and I will link all the products we use down in the description. So I went ahead and picked up the Atoto X10 head unit, and then we went ahead and got everything else we're going to need to install this. We got the double DIN trim setup, we've got the wiring and everything we're going to need to get this all set up in the Grand Cherokee. I also went ahead and picked up the wiring adapter to get this radio to plug into the factory wires that are behind the dash. That way you can get this all set up as easily as possible. And like I said, all these products will be linked down below in the description if you wanted to pick this up for yourself. This is a very simple install, especially with all these parts. So let's go ahead and get to work. So for starters, we've got the wiring adapter. This will allow us to plug into the factory plugs that are in the stock head unit. And pretty much all you have to do to get this set up is go ahead and match the colors. And all the wires on the new radio are all labeled, so it's pretty easy to do. And on the back of the packaging, it also tells you what each wire is. So extremely simple to do. I went ahead and did that off camera because it's very boring to watch, but we're getting the progress made and this will be ready to go in. Now on the Jeep side of things, we're going to go ahead and have to remove the factory radio, and that's very simple. You basically just pry up this trim piece, and then behind there's a couple screws and you can drop it out. I like to use one of these just plastic scrapers. I think this came with a tint kit or something like that, but just pop it off basically and you're good to go. Now don't throw this away. We are going to need to reuse the vents off of this, and I'll show you guys how to take these off and put them on the other trim panel that we picked up for the double DIN radio. But now we're going to go ahead and remove the radio. It's just the 4 screws on top and bottom. Now for reusing the vents, all you're going to do is just drill out these spots where it looks like the plastic's melted, and that's how it's attached. It's really simple. You just drill them out and then it should pop right off. Now with the vents removed, we're going to go ahead and install it on the new trim piece, and we are going to have to do a little modification to these vents since we're installing a double DIN radio. It's a little bit bigger. As you can see at the top there, to make some clearance, we're going to have to go ahead and just sand down or grind down that top piece. I'm probably just going to use a Dremel with like a sanding bit on it and go ahead and file that down. And just like that, we went ahead and sanded that down. You can see just the amount of plastic we had to remove basically, and the Dremel worked amazing for that. It took a minute. Now this fits perfectly. Now to attach it permanently to this trim panel, what I'm going to do is go ahead and just basically hot glue over it and then hot glue the seams. That's worked really well for me in the past, so we're going to go ahead and do that again. So to give you guys a little bit of a better idea of where I've gone ahead and hot glued, I'll show you the back here. Just got a regular hot glue gun, regular hot glue sticks, and I did the whole seam on the bottom and then the pegs on the side and then up top as well. And this should be more than enough to hold these vents in place. Now back to the Jeep. So we're going to do a little bit of customization to this just because the radio is a slightly different size, but we've gone ahead and got the wiring taken care of, and then we've also gone ahead and got that new trim panel taken care of. So what's left is going to be going ahead and cutting up the top of the dash where you see that red like felt pieces. We're going to get rid of that. The best way I found to do that is get one of these oscillating cutting tools. You can pretty much cut straight through that plastic, no problem. This is honestly, it's not hard, but it's the hardest part of the installation. But again, with the right tools, it's very easy. I went to Harbor Freight and picked up the tool for, I think it was $20 or $30. I would definitely recommend that. It makes the install a lot easier and a lot smoother, and you can go ahead and cleanly cut that versus chopping it all up. But with that cut, we can go ahead and put our new radio in, and as you can see, this fits really, really well in here, and with that top piece cut, it's pretty smooth, and like I said, definitely worth picking up one of these. I'll link one down below, or you can go over to Harbor Freight and get them for very, very cheap. Then here's how our wiring is looking. It's probably going to be a little bit of a pain to get this all tucked up back there since the radio is a lot bigger, but as you can see, it just plugs into the factory harness, and then we've got all of our stuff wired up for the new radio. Very, very easy. Now it's going to be hard to toss this in with one hand, so I'm going to go ahead and toss this all together and show you guys what we're working with afterwards. Alright, so the radio is in and this is looking clean. I actually really like how this looks. It looks like it could be OEM. And as you can see, we've got the touchscreen, we've got maps, Waze, we've got all of our music, we got Onyx on here. I use Waze typically when I'm driving, but this works really, really well. It'll be nice to have CarPlay on this, and it's a Bluetooth CarPlay, so you don't have to have any wires running through your dash, which is a huge plus. We've got the Onyx app on here. Tons of cool features, and like I said, it's Bluetooth CarPlay. It also works with whatever the Android equivalent of CarPlay is, so that's really nice as well if you don't have an iPhone. Tons of customization on this radio. I haven't really had a chance to mess with all of it, but this is definitely a huge improvement and makes the interior of this Jeep much more modern. And then another cool thing is without the CarPlay, if you go ahead and just go into the factory like apps on this radio, is if you connect to the internet, you can actually watch YouTube. You can watch all kinds of stuff on this thing. There's a ton of different apps and features that this thing has, and I'll be interested to mess around with those at some point. And then you can change all the colors, obviously, and like the static background colors. There's tons of customization if you're not using CarPlay or the Android, whatever that one's called. But there's tons of options, and this radio is pretty cool. But that is how I'm updating the interior of my 2001 Jeep to be a lot more modern and have CarPlay. And like I said, all these products that I used in this video are in the description down below if you wanted to pick them up for yourselves. As always, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.